All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. It is Thursday, March 23rd of 2023 here, looking ahead to a single hockey game tonight, as well as a 4-game NBA slate. So not a lot going on in the daily DFS streets today, but got some short slate NBA, plenty to talk about looking ahead to the weekend. That got XFL, MMA, F1, NASCAR, you name it. Sports are going on. But for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew, one of the coaches over here at SaberSims, a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. You can post questions live in the YouTube chat or in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord, there's a link in the description below to get joined up. Highly recommend it as always. But that being said, gonna get the app pulled up here. Only one question to get us going today. I did have one housekeeping item from yesterday that came up. So Grayson asked a question about forcing a 2-1 stack in your lineups. I displayed how to do that. Oh, we have a 7-game hockey slate. Why did I only see an individual showdown? Oh, weird. So, okay, I get it. So the showdown is before the 11-game main slate. So the app is defaulting to the first slate basically by time. So just so you guys know, if you guys run into an issue just like I ran into right here, that is just because the showdown slate starts first here. So then you just have to toggle over to the main slate. But thank you, GM33 and safety. I did not catch that, but good for everybody to know. So appreciate you guys. All right. Getting back to Grayson's question yesterday, asked about forcing a 2-1 stack in NBA. So I looked into this because when I forced it, it was not showing properly. Basically what we did was we used this rule here: stack 2 players and 1 opposing. It looks like this. It's a stack basic rule, stack exactly 2 with exactly 1 player on the opposing team. When this rule is active, so the problem basically is that for NBA, we do not treat 2-1 game stack is not listed as one of our stack types. So that was the issue there. So I'm just going to have this build up so we can reference it here. But if you go back to the home screen, this is probably a better way to check this. Under stack types, go to stack types. There is no 2-1 stack for NBA that we display. It's we treat it differently than something like NFL where you might have a 2 stack and a bring back or something like that. So if you go over here to the stack types, you're going to see a bunch of 2 stacks, but you are not going to see a 2-1 listed here. However, if you were to go spot check these, you will see that it is working correctly. So we have the Cavs here. So we have 2 players from the Cavs, 1 player from Brooklyn, and then that satisfies the stack for this lineup. And then another 2-1 Cavs stack here. We have what is this one? This is 2 Orlandos with a person on the other side from the Knicks here. So the 2-1 rule is still being honored. You're just not able to verify that as easily in the stack types just because of the way that we display it in the app. But long story short, the rule is working as intended, and this is exactly how you would do that. So wanted to make sure I got back to Grayson on that one. But moving on here, we have one question in the Discord at the moment. If anybody has any questions, now is a great time to get them in. I am going to bring this one in the chat and we will talk about it a little bit. So AK Knowledge said, since SaberSim runs thousands of sims and basketball tends to reach their projections more often, shouldn't SaberSim be a perfect tool for getting an edge for prop betting without paying extra? Shouldn't one be able to find the heavy outliers using the sims? For example, more/less than 0.5 steals, and SaberSim shows players with 1.35 steals, or fantasy score of 29 more/less, and SaberSim shows the players hitting 33 with all of the scripts SaberSim runs with. I would think it would be a reliable tool to use on, say, 0-10 settings. So, it's, I mean, this is a tough question to answer. So we do offer a prop plan, right? We have one. If you're on the pro plan, you have the ability to add the NBA props. They've been very successful to this point. The great thing about that is that you're right. You could see some of the stats here, but our prop model is just more than looking at the stats here and then spitting out bets. Like it is taking it to the next step. And then I think along with this, what you don't get is you don't get to calculate like the odds. Not every bet is plus 100. Like a 50-50 bet. There is vig bets are sometimes minus 150, sometimes minus 170, sometimes plus 130, right? So where is that line drawn? And that all comes from math calculations and figuring out what is the probability that this event occurs, and then is is there edge in the line that these sites are posting, and then how much should you bet, right? That goes into like a whole Kelly formula, right? So along with simply just looking at the stats in the app and then blindly making a bet on any odds, I would not recommend that to anybody, regardless. Let's say that the line is 0.5 steals and we're showing 1.35 in the app, but what's the line? Is it like minus 200? Is it minus 160? And then second is how much should you wager on that individual event, right? So those are things that we are taking into account when we are analyzing the bets and figuring out which ones to post and which ones do not meet our criteria to be able to post to our users. So I think that, we are doing a lot more than just giving you the raw stats, and we are doing all this, bet, place, market analysis and trying to get you the absolute best bets for the strongest results, which is what we have done with our prop plan to date. The prop plan is hovering just around like 40 positive units over a 2-month sample. I mean, the first day we posted was January 23rd. It is March 23rd. And so those are really strong results in just 2 months here. So really looking forward to what the prop plan can do going forward. We're hoping to have something for MLB. We might not have it right at the beginning of the season. It might come out a little later like NBA did. But I think that NBA is probably in a spot where once NBA starts back up next season, we could probably have it from the beginning of the season, from very early in the season, and make that process go a lot further. So I would trust the process and not try to take too much out of the detailed stats that you see here in the app. Grayson said, thanks, Andrew, for the follow-up. Yeah, man, happy you were able to catch that. That's like one of the good things about posting in the Office Hours channel in Discord. If there is some type of follow-up, I can make sure to, ping you or start a thread. So that is one of the perks of like posting in there. But glad you're able to catch it. All right. No questions at the moment. We are going to jump over to the NBA injury report for today. So if anybody has any questions, now's a great time to get them in. I know people are still trickling in here. Viewer count is still going up. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Like to call it Friday Junior in my house. I don't know what everybody else calls it. Not living in California, but just some West Coast vibes for you guys there. All right. Not a lot going on with this 4-game slate here. Mitch Robb, in the first game of the night, questionable. His backup is Hartenstein. We can go over and see what the salaries look like here. Mitch Robb is at 4,600 and Hartenstein is at 3,700. So definitely could be some value at 3,700 in DraftKings salary if he was to miss here. I think Jalen Suggs has been out a couple games. Ben Simmons has been out. Mark Williams has been out. I don't know what this note on Nick Richards is, but he has regularly been playing with Mark Williams out. So I don't know if there's any like funny business going on with Nick Richards that would potentially cause him to miss. We're not showing any like questionable status or anything in the app here. He is projected for like 25% ownership here. So probably like a better value on like a 4-game slate I don't think it's going to be a high value slate at all here. We're showing no values under 6. So fairly like well-priced slate. Players are going to flock to, the best medium value they can find. And which is, why we're seeing so much ownership on like Gordon Hayward, Cole Anthony, Nick Richards, etc. here, but not a lot going on in the NBA streets. So happy to talk about, anything you guys got going on, anything you guys have questions about looking ahead to the weekend here. Let's see what we have going on. I think we have like a 13 or 15 fight card for MMA. And what else do we have? We have some NASCAR. We got trucks, Xfinity, Cup race. Should be a fun weekend. Really been enjoying these NASCAR contests, having a lot of fun with them. Tennis has been going on all week. We've had the Miami event. They've been running some big contests. They ran satellites for a $20 like main GBP yesterday. So a lot of tennis, a lot of league, a lot of CSGO. XFL should be happening this weekend. Looks like we have a 4-game slate starting Saturday. Usually they split this into 2 games. I think XFL, there is a lot of edge with just like late swap probably. These games are so spread out and they always happen over the weekend that I think you can do a lot of late swap analysis. I mean, I don't know what the right word to call it is, but basically, injury news is not super prevalent. You do have to kind of go find it on the web. A great place to find it is at XFL_PR. It is like their public relations Twitter account. They post inactives like most accurately on that site. Or on that account. Haven't really seen it anywhere else. But you can come in here, an hour to every game lock and make sure that everything is lining up correctly. Like that's what we're making sure that we are marking players out. Players are getting point projections when they should be. Those are getting redistributed. Like we are doing all of that. But my point is that I don't think all of the players in these contests are doing that much due diligence. Then that gives you some ideas about where to late swap, how to late swap. So if you're playing XFL, I would always make sure to come back like an hour before each game lock, just because we don't really know so much about questionables or who's going to be out or who's going to be in, and some of that information will come out like an hour to lock. So that gives you a good opportunity. Do some late swap, take advantage of some inactives, and then make sure you are getting the best plays in there. And then, with the games being so spread out, you can kind of this 10 a.m. game, you'll probably know the outcome before this St. Louis Vegas game starts. And then, do you want to make any adjustments from there? How your exposure is looking, et cetera, to like the best highest scoring plays to the worst plays, et cetera. So I think XFL, a lot of late swap opportunity there, which Eric broke down in our XFL video. If you come over to our YouTube channel, go to playlists, did we put it under? Okay, so it's in the NFL channel here. Crush the XFL DFS lobby with SaberSim's play-by-play simulations. This might be just a video that Jordan did. I don't remember if it was like a pro exclusive video or not, but basically, I think it was. Jordan interviewed Eric, one of our data scientists who basically built the XFL model, and they went over the XFL model in depth about places to try and add value, etc. One of the great reasons to be on the pro plan is the pro exclusive content and a lot of great ideas and thoughts and theory in those videos. All right, Demetrius said, can you go over NHL settings for tonight's slate? What are some good lineup rules? Yeah, so I have dabbled in NHL in more recently. I'm not like an avid NHL player, so I think I'm probably the perfect person to talk to when it comes to like basic NHL roster construction and in theory. So if you talk to somebody like Scott is super sharp. Scott is making adjustments to projections and to teams based on long-term NHL prowess and just playing for a long time, and he really knows his ins and outs. Me, I'm not somebody like that. I'm somebody who is newer to NHL DFS. So basically what I'm trying to say is the more knowledgeable you are, the less restrictive you have to be, because you know what you're looking for, what looks off, what doesn't, right? But if that's not who you are, I think these two rules that I have personally ran by Scott and gotten feedback from him on are good rules to start with. So basically what I do is set a rule to have at least two players from the same even strength line and then two players from the same power play line. I'm just trying to guarantee and capitalize on the correlation in my lineups to make sure that I'm getting it in every single lineup without me having to do too much spot checking here. And but I'm not making the stacks super heavy either. I'm just pushing the builder towards two players from two different lines and letting the builder kind of work from there. So something I also do by forcing in this correlation, what I will do is I will lower the correlation slider. So like, let's say, I'm playing like 150 max, 10 to 50K entrance. I might come in here and like chop this correlation slider in half or, maybe drop it down like 2 ticks or something like that, just because I'm already forcing it in. I don't need these like ultra correlated lineups where we are almost like overdoing the correlation, right? So I would say, be aware of like some of those trade-offs. What Scott talks about that he does is like he comes in and sets a rule to basically just have two players from the same, like two correlated players in a lineup. Like that's it. And then he really trusts the builder. He's building every day, really understands what it's doing. So he's able to like go and then see what that outcome is, and he's happy with it. Me, no, not in my skill set. So I'm setting these two little more restrictive rules, little more straightforward rules. But I do think that these are two good rules that you could start an NHL process with, get familiar, and then kind of build from there. But I think as a baseline, I use those rules, and I would suggest that if you're newer, I think that is a good place to start. All right. Good question, Demetrius. Looks like we had a follow-up here from AK Knowledge. And AK said, thanks, Andrew. My last question on this was just if you think 0-10 would be good settings, if experimenting with prize picks and using the sims to make those bets or using defaults at a certain range. I've been using the highest exposure player and trying to make bets around those players. So I would probably, okay, so if you want to like use some of this, statistical information that you see on the home screen for like prize picks bets and stuff, I would really just focus on what you see here in the home screen. So what this information is it is a basically those are the means that these players score for each individual stat across the entire set of simulation. So basically, Jared Allen, if we were to add up every single point projection that he scores in all our sims and, take the mean of that, he scores on average 36.37 points. Same for his summary statistics, right? So we're saying that, let me just scroll over here. We're saying that he gets, on average 14.4 actual points in the game, shoots 5.89 2-pointers, 0.03 3-pointers, 12.3 rebounds across that entire simulation database. I would use these values here if you want to experiment with something like that, just because this is over a larger sample size, right? So like the law of large numbers says the more instances you do something, the closer it gets to the theoretical mean. So, the bigger sample that you're working with, these are really the values that you want to use. I don't really think that, running a 0-10 build and seeing what the highest exposures are, that just tells you, who is a good fantasy play, right? If you're looking for information on stats, this is where to get it in the home screen. But by running a 0-10 build, you're basically you're taking single game sims, right? But you don't know what the outcomes in those sims are, and it's super random because we might have a database of like 10,000 sims, and then you're building, say, 500 lineups. You're only taking a small subset of those sims in the database, and then you don't know what the stats those players are getting in those sims. So I would really caution you from doing that. And then if you want to experiment with any data, I would experiment with just the summary statistics that you see in the home screen here. AK said, okay, because I have been running the sims and then add to view the rebounds, steals, points, etc. columns, but do those stay the same as the first step then? Yes. Okay, good point here. So basically what he's saying he's doing is that he is running a build, and then he is using this edit exposure columns and then adding in like some of these summary statistics like rebounds, like assists, etc. This is going to be a direct reflection of what is in the home screen. This is not going to be something different. So we can like spot check this, right? So if we add in assists here, let's add in assists and steals. So if I add in assists and steals here, so Jared Allen has 1.48 assists and 0.82 steals. So then if we go back to the home screen here, he has 1.48 assists and 0.82 steals on average. So the summary statistics that you are adding in the post-build edit exposure columns, these are not from the set of sims that you pulled. So like say you're building 500 lineups on 0-10 settings. These are not the summary stats from those 500 lineups. These are just basically like reference columns for you to like go back and not have to toggle back and forth between what is in the home screen. So sorry about like any confusion there. I do think that's like kind of a cool idea, is like being able to add in, you know, some of these statistics and then see how the player did across the sims that you pulled from. So I do like the thought process there. I'm going to note that down as a feature request here for sim summary stats post build. I think that's like a super cool idea. But I do think that bigger sample size is your best friend when it comes to like doing statistical analysis. So the more sims that you can pull data from, the better. So the home screen is going to be your best friend. All right. AK said, thanks for the clarification. I never took the time to double check that. Appreciate it. And then that would be an awesome feature. Yeah, no, I think that would be like a really cool feature, right? It's like how did this player do in my 500 sims, right? I think that like you could do that, you know, how many minutes does this guy play in my 500 sims, you know, how many fantasy points did he score? So I think all of that is like really, really cool and intuitive. So I did make a note. I will write that down and take that back to the team. All right. Sojo said, yesterday I asked what settings would you use if you wanted to build for the best props, and you said get the pro plan and add the pro plan. What if I want to use the sims instead? What settings will you use? Yeah. So Sojo, you know, I kind of just answered AK's question directly on that. You know, the too long didn't read of it was that, you know, you don't really want to do that. I wouldn't suggest that, because something that we talked about was, you know, it really comes down to what are the lines, you know, the bets that you're placing are not going to be, you know, plus 100, minus 100. What is the VIG on those lines? You know, is it minus 173? Is it minus 200? What is the cutoff point? Like those are all things that are worked into our models and that we are taking into account behind the scenes. And then on top of that, you know, what, that's where like Kelly Criterion comes into play. Like how much should you bet on that wager? You know, what are your, what's the win probability and all of those things. So that all of that is taken into our prop betting model. So I really wouldn't suggest blindly making bets based on the stats that you see here in the app. But just my thoughts and some words of caution. Prop plan has been very successful, and I would recommend checking it out. All right, everybody. Those are our last questions at the moment. We have already done a run through of the NBA injury report, so not a lot of questions today. If you guys are building lineups throughout the day, which I'm sure all of you are, and something pops in your head about, you know, the app, or just like a thought about, you know, what do you think about this, or like some game theory type of thing, just drop it in the office hours channel, let it sit there, and then we will get back to it on the next show. We do the show Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, plenty of time to answer your guys' questions. And then that just gives us a steady queue of questions to get rolling as people, you know, trickle in and start to view and get those thoughts and ideas in their head. So would appreciate that. For anybody building lineups, drop those questions in the channel. And until tomorrow, I will see you. Take care and good luck.